Okay, we're doing chapter 91 to chapter 94 of Life of Pi. This is the end of part 2, and then we'll do part 3, which is just 6 chapters, short chapters. So there'll be one more video after this video, and then we're done. Okay, so chapter 91, Pi says that he found that the man had lied to him and that food was available in the other blind man's boat. He had food, water, those types of things. And then Pi said he cried, which enabled him to see again, but part of him wishes that he hadn't been able to see again because all he saw of this man was a broken body. He had no face left, so Pi couldn't even see what he had looked like, and it unsettled him, obviously. And then Pi says he is ashamed to admit, but he had used the man as bait to fish, and there were times where he ate some of him. And then Pi says that he prays for his soul every day. Okay, then chapter 2, he says they were on the lifeboat when he saw these trees in the distance, and as they got closer, he realized it was a forest, but the land had no soil. And he said that there was so much green that it was like music to his eyes, and he says that green is the color of Islam, and that green is his favorite color. And then he remembers in the survival manual that they said that the foot is the only good judge of land, so he uses his foot to determine, obviously, if it's land, and then he realizes that it is land, and he kind of falls out the boat while doing so, and he lands on top of algae, and he eats it, and he realizes that it's actually like sweet, so he enjoys eating it. And then he says that the whole island is one of Allah's works. Okay, then in the evening, after eating and everything, Richard Parker comes back onto the lifeboat, but he comes roaring. And Pi also said that he had a sore stomach and that Richard Parker kept licking his paws. And every night, Richard Parker returns to the lifeboat, and Pi is a little unsettled by it because, it is still a tiger. Then he says that there were so many meerkats. He discovered these meerkats on the island. And what he found interesting was that they were not afraid of him. And at first he was like, I wonder if they're not afraid of me because I should be afraid of them. But then he realizes that they've never had like a predator on the island. That's why they're not afraid of him. Okay, then eventually he goes and he explores the island and he finds these dead fish lying in fresh water. And it's like Dorados and stuff. And he says it's no like secret as to why the fish were dead, because these are fish that live in salt water, and now they're going to fresh water. And then he says Richard Parker just started killing meerkats, not to eat them, just to kill them for sport. And he said this was worrisome because it meant Richard Parker was getting very comfortable in the environment, and almost like Pi was starting to be afraid of him because Pi's like alpha male thing wasn't working as well anymore. So anyways, he starts training Richard Parker again, just to establish that dominance again. But even so, he decides he's going to sleep in the trees rather, that it's safer. So he ties ropes to the branches of the trees and he sleeps there. And he like takes note of these meerkats that keep running into the trees at night time. And one night he wakes up and he sees that there's like he wakes up to the meerkats like chirping and whatever and making noise. And he looks into the freshwater pond and he sees that there's like a huge ton of fish and a huge shark, but he notes that none of the meerkats go fetch it. And then in the morning when he goes there, he realizes that the fish is gone and that there's no ways the meerkats or even Richard Parker would have taken it. So he starts getting a little bit suspicious of the island. And he finds this tree with fruit on it, and he says that he was like so amazed. And he finds this fruit, and as he starts peeling back the leaves, it gets smaller and smaller until he finds human teeth in the leaves. And then he says he started to realize what had happened. So that night while sleeping in the tree, he dropped a meerkat onto the ground, and the meerkat ran straight back up the tree and was licking its paws. So Richard Parker Pi said he would figure it out for himself. He went down, touched his feet to the algae, and as he said, at first he felt nothing, and then his feet started burning. So he climbed up the tree, scratched his feet on the bark of the tree, on put it in water, used meerkat blood to try to soothe it, but his feet were burning the whole night. And then Pi realizes that it's a carnivorous island, and he preps to leave, and he ties some algae to the boat, like a piece of algae to the boat on a rope. And he also takes meerkats and fresh water onto the boat, and then he says he can't leave without Richard Parker. He knows that Richard Parker wouldn't be able to stand a night there, so he waits till dawn for Richard Parker to come back onto the lifeboat, and then he leaves. And now I just want to note that when he said his stomach was cramping, it might have been from the algae, and the reason I'll tell you now is because chapter 93, when they woke up the next morning, the algae had burned away. There was no more algae. The algae had burnt the rope, so there was no more algae to tow anymore. And then chapter 93 says Pi endured like suffering again, and he turned to God. Now, one thing you must remember here is almost like in religions, they say that God tests your faith. So it's almost like he put him on this island, and when he was on this island, he was forgetting about God, and then God reminded him quickly that he is the only way, and that's why Pi had to leave the island. Okay, then chapter 4, they said they finally found land, and this was in Mexico, and he said that Pi just couldn't even like walk or get out the boat. He was so exhausted, and Richard Parker just left. And then Pi says that people came and helped him, and he was obviously really smelly, and he said he started crying, but not because the people were helping him, but because Richard Parker left him so unceremoniously. And he says that he likes things to be concluded. He would have rather Richard Parker even turn around to give him a look. He said he doesn't like things finished, and that's why he would like to see if he could finish this book in just 100 chapters. And he also said he doesn't like his name, that it continues forever and ever, the number Pi. And he says he always feels it's good to just finish things. And then he says that the Mexican people bathed him and gave him food, and he thought he would like always be hungry because that food was just obviously such like a refreshing experience for him. And then eventually the police came and took him to the hospital. And that's these 4 chapters summed up, and I'll do a video on the next few chapters, and then it'll be done. We'll be done with Life of Pi. So I hope these videos help you, and thank you for watching.